emphasis? What's the definition in your book?
Principle.
Yes, principle of art.
That makes one part of a word dominant over other parts.
Okay, so write that down. And I'm going to put, not paying attention. Work, I put weak. Not doing very well today. I've made several mistakes. More important or more dominant, either one, if you understand what dominant is, but you should, I guess, because we dominate things. More important than, or over, if you say dominate, the other parts of the word. Okay. So, my examples are kind of mixed up. I know what I want though. Find it real quickly. Here we go. Okay. Now, if we look at this, and we looked at some of this the other day, when you look at this work, this is by Mondrian, and where is the emphasis here? What's the most dominant part of the word? Huh?
The left side.
The left side? Everybody agree? The right side? How many say left side, right side?
Left.
Middle? Some people say middle. Okay? And that's my point. There's no clear area, right, that dominates this work. So that's one, but this is what we call modern art. And modern art is when you emphasize an element or elements. So what elements do you see here? What do you see? Elements. Line, color, shape, form, texture. What do you see? Okay. You see shapes. You see lines. And you can either say, you can say these are lines or these are narrow shapes, but because they're connected, they're kind of like lines, shapes. And what's the other element you see here? Color, right. So that's one kind where nothing in particular is emphasized, but in modern art, what the artist started saying was that art should just be about the elements. That's the pure art. And so we're going to call, this is kind of one of the ways you can use emphasis, and it's when you emphasize an element or elements. And I'm simplifying it a little bit, but that's kind of what, I'm probably simplifying it a lot, but that's what it's about. That's how you communicate, just with line, shape, color. Okay, that's what it's about. This is called Boogie Woogie Piano. So the artist was trying, was communicating in a feeling, emotion. If you guys know what a boogie woogie, or it's called, Broadway Boogie Woogie. So he's kind of communicating a city, lots of busyness, and if you see it that way, you can start kind of seeing it. It looks like your eye moves all around because of the different shapes, etc. So there is concept behind it, but all of the all of the ideas are expressed through just the elements of art. So, and I'm just going to add this. So this is the period of art when a lot of this was being done. This is called modern art. So when you're talking about modern art, that's what was doing, and that was a period of time. We are no longer in the modern art period. A lot of people think modern is what's happening today, but in art, when we're looking at art forms, this is a period of time. Right now, we're in a postmodern period. Okay. Now let's look at another one. All right. So, what is emphasized here?
The window.
The window. Okay. And why? How has the artist created emphasis?
In front of her face.
It's in front of her face.
Glasses.
Okay. What else? Is this something we see every day?
No.
No. If I went walking down the hallway and I had this painted on, I've had a window in front of my eye, people would immediately look at my eye, right? So, one of the ways that you can show, we're going to do, so that's another, but, I'm sorry, my brain's just scattered today. So this is one where a particular area is emphasized. So that's going to be our second definition. So here's where you're just emphasizing the elements. But our second part of the definition is going to be when you emphasize an area. And there are many ways to do this. And I'm going to expand on that a little bit more and just say what you're doing is you're going to create, and this is probably some terminology that you've heard before, you create a focal point, which is the first thing that attracts the viewer. And I will also put focal point. Sometimes there's more than one. Okay? So there's several ways you can create focal points, and that's what's going to branch off of here. All right, so the one we talked about here was the unusual. We do not expect to see little tiny windows on top of people's faces, right? So that would be an example of the unusual. And sometimes it'll be more than one thing. So that's just something, and that's why the pink wig, if I went walking down the hall, people would pay attention to me because they would not expect me to have that on my head at Linn-Mar High School, right? Now, if I wore that to the toga party, I wouldn't be as noticeable. I think people would still look, but not so much. And here's an example. Another one. Now, there's more than one focal point here, but can you see it well enough to see what the eyes are?
Cats.
Yes. All right.
That's awesome.
Okay. So yeah, there's the cat eyes. So you're gonna obviously look here, and then you've got the butterfly is standing in for a bow tie, and I don't know if you can see this really well, but these are like flowers, and they have little girls' heads coming out of them. Okay, so there's several focal points here.
Okay, I don't see the cat.
Right there.
You don't see the cat?
Oh, now I see it. Okay.
Okay.
You not see that.
I thought they were like legit eyes.
All right. This one isn't quite the right
So
colors,
glasses.
but this is not it's a different colors. All right. What's emphasized here?
Oh.
the woman, okay?
Oh, this woman.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, I can't see that.
You can't see it? Oh, okay. Why don't you move over a little bit? If you can't see, move. Okay? You're fine. You know, that's anytime you can't see, you can move. All right. So the woman, okay? And how is the woman emphasized here? Why is our attention drawn to this woman?
She looks like she's clawing after the house.
Okay. She is. Actually, this is a woman that the artist knew, and she her name was Christina, and she was crippled, and so the name of this is Christina's World. Okay, so in this situation, I don't know if this was a true thing that really happened, but if she fell down somewhere and was all by herself, this would be her world. This would be her reality. What's the feeling here? Or she's emphasized, and what feeling do you have here?
Sad.
Sad. Why?
Because she can't get
That
to
is
the
a
house.
long thought.
Right. Okay. She's all alone too. Okay. So, but formally, the way the artist has set this out is he's emphasized her by isolation. There is nothing close to her whatsoever. Okay. So she's all alone here. So that's another way to emphasize something. We're going to call that isolation, and that's putting one object apart from other objects. All right. Let's look at another one. Let's look at this one right here. What's emphasized here? The sun, okay? And how has the artist created emphasis here? It's the biggest thing in the picture, so, and that would be what we call contrast. What about the color? What color is this? What kind of colors are used here for the sun?
Yellow.
Oranges, okay, yellows, and what kind of colors are those?
Right?
Well, they are bright, but what else? Warm colors, yeah. This is like a composition you guys some of you have done already in your book. Because what's the background?
Cool.
Cool colors. And where is this located? In the center. So there's a couple things going on here. One of the things is the location, where things are located. So if they're in the middle, that's where our eyes are going to naturally look. We're not going to look out here in the corner first. We might if something out here is very unusual or very different. But if we want people to notice things, generally we put them in the center of the composition because that's where your eye looks. So we're going to do two for this one. Okay, so one is contrast. So we have contrast in size, contrast in color, and we will be talking about contrast as one of the principles as well. So we're going to kind of repeat this. So contrast, and that's when something is different. So it can be different in size, in color, in shape from everything else. And then the other thing we talked about was location or placement, either one. Everybody still see in your radar? Okay. Just yell at me if I'm not. And that quite simply is things in the center will be noticed first. All right. And then I'm going to show you another one. This was a piece of student work. Where are your eyes drawn to in this particular image? The blue, okay. And is there a certain section that's a focal point?
The bottom right.
The bottom right, okay. Now, what makes our eyes come to this bottom right area?
It's all grouped together.
Magic.
Okay, magic. Yeah, art's kind of magic. It's a different kind of shape for one thing. So there's contrast, right? Oh,
It's glaring.
I'm sorry. Thank you. Okay. So, but the other thing is, yeah, it kind of bends, is that all of these lines, it's kind of like a maze. All of these lines, more or less, are going to end up in that area where the shape is. And when all these lines come together, and this is similar to what we were talking about yesterday with linear perspective, that's called convergence. Where is the biggest point of convergence at Linn-Mar High School? Yep, you got it. So convergence is another way of creating a focal point. And then that, the definition or the explanation is when many elements, it'll also often be lines, when many elements or element, could be an element, but since I put many, I'll put elements seem to point to one object. So a really, really simple composition to demonstrate that. I can put this object here. It's not in the center, so it's not really going to catch our eye. But if I have lines coming towards it, they're all converging. That's going to make it the focus on that dot. And it's also contrasting. It's the only dot. So lots of times there'll be overlap. So let's look at a few more examples. And you tell me. Whoa. Whoa is right. It's making me. I can't look at this. It just makes me dizzy. All right. So where's the emphasis here?
Everywhere. Everywhere.
Everywhere. So this would be one of the first examples. What are they using? Line. Okay. And they're also kind of using space because the way they space them, that it's creating. And there was a whole movement during the modern period called op art. So this is optical illusion. So yes, it's pretty crazy. Okay, this one, has anyone ever seen this image before? It's very famous. Yes. Okay, where is it? Do you know? And who did it?
In this church, Leonardo da Vinci.
Not Da Vinci, but
Grant
the other one. The other turtle, yes. Michelangelo. Okay, so it's several, the turtles that have artist names. I don't know if you know that or not, but anyway, this is in the ceiling in the Vatican, and this is right in the middle of the ceiling. It's called the Creation. There's lots of different stories. So where's the focus here? In the middle. Okay, so how does the artist create that focus? How did Michelangelo make that focus?
So like, what's your fingers?
And what's that called?
E.T.
E.T. You know, a lot of the things you see come from art from way back. That was not a mistake. The artists knew, they knew when they did E.T. what they were doing when they made that image. They were copying Michelangelo, which was, in the 1500s. Okay, so, but what is this called? What's happening here? Two lines are converging, okay? So this is an example of convergence and also placing it in the center. I'm going to test you a little bit more. See if you've got this down. What about this one? This is another famous one.
Oh, that's me.
Last Supper. Okay, that's you
Yeah.
in the middle?
Yep.
Okay. So what's the focus? Focus is on Jonathan, right?
Yep.
Jonathan here in the middle. how does, I know you can't see this very well, but it's not, it's so damaged that it's, unless they reconstruct it, it looks like this. So how is the focus created? Whoops.
That's
Oh,
focused.
Okay, how's the focus created?
He's in the center.
He's in the center. What else?
Everyone's like begging for him.
He's got swag.
He's got swag. They all have swag. No, there's a space around him. You see that? So that's isolation. And then what you can't see really well, you can see it over here, is that the architecture all comes down and points right at him. Okay, so it all leads. So again, you've got those converging lines. That was not a mistake. That artist knew what they were doing. Okay, what about this one? Where's the focus?
Blue. And that
Blue
blue dot.
square.
Blue. Okay. And so how is that done?
Wow. Converging.
Contrast.
Contrast.
Oh, shucks.
Converging. I would probably not because there's so many lines going other places. Contrast, isolation. The blue is isolated. You could say that's the only blue one there. So usually it's more than one thing. I'm getting all the same ones. I don't know. I get confused. Oh, there's some more over here. That's okay. We'll stop here. Here's one more. Okay.
Like an Indian magazine. Gathering.
Where's the focus?
It's more like you.
Okay. She's all by herself.
Oh, it's a
Kind of unusual. I think it's a girl, don't you? I think she's got a burqa on. I don't know.
What's a
But it's abstract. We can't really tell. And then we've got the convergence coming in. Okay? So, your, for 33, it's going to be composition. Every time we do one of the principles, you're going to do a composition. So it's going to be composition with a focal point. It can be realistic for those of you that like to draw. It can be abstract for those of you that just like to make stuff but don't feel like you can do anything that's realistic. All right. And then I want you to list the things that you use. So if I put something in the center, I'll say with a focal point using, list which ones you're using. Placement. You don't have to use all of them. If I have lines coming in, that can be convergence. I have contrast right now because I just have a circle and the rest are lines. Okay, so that's all you need to do is make a composition with a focal point. And then I want you to say which of these, and you're probably going to use more than one. If you use just one though, that's okay. All right, any questions? All right, make sure you got your packet